we make it ourselves. Luna is down beyond the bottom bridge. She's very excited that you are here. She ought not to be too long. She has caught nearly enough dimples to make soup for all of us. Do sit down and help yourselves to some sugar. Now, how may I help you, Mr. Potter?
Well, it's about the symbol you were wearing around your neck at Bill and Fleur's wedding, Mr. Lovegood. We were wondering what it meant.
Are you referring to the Deathly Hallows?
The Deathly Hallows?
That's right. You haven't heard of them? I'm not surprised. Very few wizards believe. Witness that knuckle-headed young man at your brother's wedding attacking me for wearing the symbol of a dark wizard. Such ignorance. There's nothing dark about the Deathly Hallows, at least not in that crude sense. One simply uses the symbol to reveal oneself to other believers in the hope that they'll help them on the quest.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand.
Well, you see, believers seek the Deathly Hallows.
But what are the Deathly Hallows?
I assume you are familiar with the tale of the three brothers?
Yes. No.
Well, Mr. Potter, the whole thing starts with the tale of the three brothers. I have a copy somewhere.
I've got a copy, Mr. Lovegood. I've got it right here.
The original? Well then, why don't you read it out loud? Much the best way to make sure we all understand.
All right.
There once were three brothers who traveled along a lonely, winding road at twilight.
Midnight. Our mom always told us, sorry, I think it's just a bit spookier if it's midnight.
Yeah, 'cause we need more fear in our lives. Go on, Hermione.
In time, the brothers reached a river too deep to wade through and too dangerous to swim across. However, these brothers were learned in the magical arts, and so they simply waved their wands and made a bridge appear across the treacherous water. They were halfway across when they found their path blocked by a hooded figure, and Death spoke to them.
And Death spoke to them?
It's a fairy tale, Harry.
Right, go on.
He was angry that he had been cheated out of 3 new victims, for travelers usually drowned in the river. But Death was cunning. He pretended to congratulate the 3 brothers upon their magic, and said that each had earned a prize for having been clever enough to evade him. So the oldest brother, who was a combative man, asked for a wand more powerful than any in existence, a wand worthy of a wizard who had conquered death. So Death crossed to an elder tree on the bank of the river, fashioned a wand from a branch that hung there, and gave it to the oldest brother. Then, the second brother, who was an arrogant man, decided he wanted to humiliate Death still further, and asked for the power to recall others from death. So Death picked up a stone from the riverbank and gave it to the second brother, and told him that the stone would have the power to bring back the dead. And then Death asked the third and youngest brother what he would like. The youngest brother was the humblest and also the wisest of the brothers, and he did not trust Death. So he asked for something that would enable him to go forth from that place without being followed by Death. And Death, most unwillingly, handed over his own cloak of invisibility.
Death's got an invisibility cloak?
So he can sneak up on people. Sometimes he gets bored of running at people, flapping his arms and shrieking. Sorry, Hermione.
Then Death stood aside and allowed the 3 brothers to continue on their way, and they did so, talking with wonder of the adventure they had had and admiring Death's gifts. In due course, the brothers separated, each for their own destination. The first brother traveled on for a week or more, and reaching a distant village, he sought out a fellow wizard with whom he had quarreled. Naturally, with the Elder Wand as his weapon, he could not fail to win the duel that followed. Leaving his enemy dead upon the floor, the oldest brother proceeded to an inn, where he boasted loudly of the powerful wand he had snatched from Death himself, and of how it made him invincible. That very night, another wizard crept upon the oldest brother as he lay, wine-sodden upon his bed. The thief took the wand, and, for good measure, slit the oldest brother's throat. And so Death took the first brother for his own. Meanwhile, the second brother journeyed to his own home, where he lived alone. Here he took out the stone that had the power to recall the dead, and turned it thrice in hand. To his amazement and his delight, the figure of the girl he had once hoped to marry before her untimely death appeared once before him. Yet she was silent and cold, separated from him as though by a veil. Though she had returned to the mortal world, she did not truly belong there and suffered. Finally, the second brother, driven mad with hopeless longing, killed himself, so as truly to join her. And so Death took the second brother for his own. But though Death searched for the third brother for many years, he was never able to find him. It was only when he had attained a great age that the youngest brother finally took off the cloak of invisibility and gave it to his son. And then he greeted Death as an old friend, and went with him gladly, and, equals, they departed this life.
Well, there you are.
Sorry?
Those are the Deathly Hollows.
The Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, the Cloak of Invisibility. Together, the Deathly Hollows.
Just like start pouring and try and. Preferably in the cup.
It went the wrong way.
She ought to have enough pimples. Please. Okay. Okay. Are you referring to the Where is my necklace?
It's tucked in there somewhere.
Okay, try that again.
Okay.
Oh, wait, read it so we understand.
Oh, is that my line?
No.
Xenophilius is just enjoying his tea.
And Death spoke to them.
And Death spoke to them.
Ron's going like that.
Ooh.
Okay. Would he man spread or cross his legs?
I guess that's up to you. I don't.
That's true.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
The Cloak of Invisibility. The shittiest Deathly Hollows ever drawn.
Then Death stood aside and allowed the... God damn it! Though she had returned to the mortal world.
That's so cute.
I guess I could have worn a
3, 2, 1, look. It's rolling.
How do you bow?
How do you bow? What the hell are you?
I need to not do sound effects.
No, you can do sound effects. It'll go in the bloopers, just so you know.
Great.